So here we are going to start with the writing task 1, report writing. As most of the students, score up to 6 band or 6.5, but not more than that. So today, this session is about those parameters which are actually which actually examiner uses to assess your writing task 1. That's report writing. So in order to score 7 to 8 bands in your report writing, there are some criteria that examiner follows. So there are 4 parameters. So they are task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy. So on the basis of these 4 criteria, examiner assesses your writing task. So students who are confused with what are those things, what are those parameters on which their writing task is judged, this video can help them a lot. Now, first of all, in order to score well in your first parameter, that's task achievement, what are the requirements? So your report writing, first of all, is judged, is assessed on the basis of task achievement. Now, what's the task achievement? Task achievement is like, have you fulfilled all whatever is asked in the statement? In the writing task 1, after the initial statement, you are given with an instruction. I'll show you the instruction on the other page. For example, this is the instruction. I'm going to simply select those lines. Summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So what examiner wants from you is that you select and report the main features. Your task must not be about the details. It must not be about the data, repetitive data. You must select the features carefully and then report them, and then make comparisons. Now, comparison is about similarities, and along with comparison you can show the contrast as well. Contrast is about differences in the trends between 2 features. Differences in trends between the 2 features. Alright, so here I'm going to take you on the task achievement criterion once again. So here was that it asks you to cover all requirements of the task sufficiently. If you want to score 8 band, you need to cover all the requirements of the task. Now, what are the requirements of the task? As I read the instruction there under the task, actual task, so the requirements were that you select the important features and report them and make comparisons. Now, I'm going to tell you about these requirements in detail with examples, most probably. Now here, see, what are the requirements when you are, when you intend to meet the task achievement criterion? The first requirement that you need to cover is that you give a clear overview of the main trends or stages in the task. Now, most of the students have misconception about an overview sentence. What they think is that an overview is all about, writing the highest or the lowest figure. Now, the main trends. Overview is about the main trends, and trends are not the highest figure or the lowest figure. So keep that thing in mind. Main trends are like, for example, in which way the figure has risen or figure has fallen. That's what. Fine. So the trend. So overview is about the trends. Alright. The next thing is about key features. Now, what is key features? Key features actually is about, for example, it's not about unimportant details. Your task 1, illustration would show you some unimportant details as well that you need not to pick. What you need to pick is the main features. Now, what are the main features? See, on the screen, if you can see, here is something written, after the word note. Now, the note says, sentences written in the body paragraph should be supporting the main trend that was identified in the overview sentence, which means, after writing overview is about the main trends in the, illustration that you are seeing. Then here is, what about the key features? Now, key features are the main features. Now, in the body paragraph, they should not be the minor details. Now, in the body paragraph, the main information are the sentences, which may support the main trends which were written in the overview paragraph. This way you can draw a clear cohesion and organization, and that's what your examiner wants. Next is, the next thing to fulfill is the comparison and contrast. As I told you earlier when I read the instruction, comparison is about the similarities in trends of two different features, and contrast is the difference in trends of two different features. Got it now? So here is the next one. Now, after understanding the task achievement criterion and how to fulfill it, the next is to understand coherence and cohesion. Now, this is a big terminology that sometimes students are unable to understand. Now, to simplify it, coherence and cohesion is, all about the link within the paragraphs and then within the sentences. Or I would say it within the sentences first of all, and then within the paragraphs. Okay? For example, there should be a seamless flow of information. Means, it should not be like, for example, I'm writing something else, in the first sentence, and then I haven't added any, any kind of linker, for example, of contrast. Now I've started writing something totally different from the upper sentence. Are you understanding what I mean? Then cohesion will be missing. If you are writing, for example, two sentences supplying the information about the similar trend. For example, if I say A is increasing, I'm mentioning the trend of A in one sentence. A is increasing. Now, if I want to say in the further sentence, B is increasing. So what I need to do is, in order to make a link, I would use here A is increasing, similarly B is increasing. Or if I want to say A is increasing, now B is decreasing. So what I need to do is, I need to add a linker of contrast. A is increasing, but B is decreasing. Are you getting? So this is called cohesion. Fine, the link within the sentences. And similarly, there should be link within the paragraphs as well. Now, here is in cohesion and coherence. In order to meet this criterion, what you need to do is, first of all, see sequence of the information. Now, most of the students, what they do is that they don't first of all analyze, understand the writing task one. They start, handling the information in the same way as shown in their illustration. Because, this is completely wrong. You need to organize it logically. For example, verbally, I'm going to give you an example. You might have, suppose you have a line graph. Now, line graph has three different features. One is, the consumption of beef, which is increasing, fine, or which increased over the time. And then the consumption of chicken, which also increased over the time, fine. And then you have consumption of fish, suppose which decreased over the time. Now, if you think, you are going to start writing, first of all, you started writing about, the consumption of beef increased over the time. Now you picked up, fish then. The consumption of fish decreased over the time. And then you came up with, the last one, that was chicken, I think. Consumption of chicken increased over the time. Do you think there is a logical organization or a sequence of the information? No. Because in order to logically organize it, what you need to do is the two features which are, of the same trend, for example, of increasing trend, what were they? They were actually beef and chicken. They should be organized in one paragraph. And you are able to achieve a logical organization easily. Isn't that? A logical sequencing easily. Yeah? And then fish can be written in the last paragraph or in the other paragraph by adding a linker of contrast. So this way, what you need to do is that you need to plan it logically, sequence the information logically. It should not be like that you have started handling the data, the way it is presented, illustrated in your writing task 1. No, you need to do planning and think that which data you can actually, sequence together or group together. Getting? Now, the next thing is about after having understood, sequencing the information logically, the other point in this criterion is all aspects of cohesion. Now, all aspects of cohesion, what are they? For that, I'd like you to look at the second page here. See, what we have is that all aspects of cohesion, as I told you, appropriate organization that you plan, like which two features should be grouped together, which other feature which is in contrast should be mentioned in the other paragraph. Got it? Then organization leads to proper paragraphing. See, and paragraphing then lead to clear progression throughout your writing task 1 report. All right. Now, next is appropriate cohesive devices. Now, cohesive devices, what are they? They are linkers in simple language. The linkers like we use, for example, similarly for drawing a comparison in the trends. Likewise, for drawing a comparison in trends. Trends, I told you the movement in which way, something is risen, something is fallen. Got that? Next is these are the cohesive devices. They can be either for comparison or for contrast, and sometimes they can be, cohesive devices of time. All right. Now, what do students normally think about cohesive devices is that we need to use cohesive devices after every sentence. Now, this is something which is wrong, because you need not to use cohesive devices after every sentence. If you do this, you are simply writing in the mechanical way. Mechanical use of linkers is totally wrong. Are you understanding what do I mean by mechanical way of writing? Mechanical way of writing is like you are like a machine. You don't think anything and you are just, working. Fine. Relentlessly you're working without having any pause, So you must not write mechanically. So what you need to do is you need to use cohesive devices where it is necessary, where it is appropriate. Because, writing simply cohesive devices without understanding what its perfect use is will rather, mar your score. That's it. Got it? So now the next thing is about the link within and between the sentences. Link within and between the sentences. I told you about this when I, discussed about the organization, I think. All right. So link within the sentences, which means, like, for example, you are writing a sentence for example, you are writing a sentence for sentence, and for example, you are writing A is increasing. This is the first sentence of your body paragraph. Now you want to write, B is decreasing. Now there is no link unless you put a linker of contrast. That would be but. B is decreasing. Got it? This is what. And there should be a natural cohesion as well, that happens when you write in a flow. Okay, fine. Next is referencing. So referencing as well helps you to maintain a link within the sentences as well. Referencing is, in order to simplify it, I would say rather for nouns. For example, this, that, these, or you can use the article the, in the beginning of the sentence, second sentence, then synonyms as well. I would give you an example here. So, for example, we say coal produced 80% of electricity in 1990. Fine. Coal produced 80% of electricity in 1990. Now, there might be some other source as well to produce electricity. Now, what would I write? While nuclear power produced 90% of electricity in the same year. Now, what is the reference here? Reference for the year. I didn't write once again what? I didn't write once again, or I didn't say once again the year. In the second sentence, I used their reference, the same. I'm going to repeat it. So, coal produced 80% of electricity in 1990, while nuclear power produced 90% of the electricity in the same year. Getting? That's what is the reference. Not repeating the same noun or here the time. For example, I did it with the year. Got it? So that's what is reference, and you need to use it in order to show that you know all aspects of vocabulary, isn't that? So that you are a proficient user of English. Okay, so be careful. Next is about the third criterion, that's lexical resources. Lexical here is about vocabulary. Now, writing fancy words is not all about lexical resources. You must not use a fancy vocabulary, you Google it and then you pick it and put it in your writing task. That's not the game. Lexical resources here means that you show a wide range of vocabulary in your writing task 1 response. Wide range of vocabulary. Now, wide range of vocabulary doesn't mean that you pick anything and put it in your writing task. Now, whatever the vocabulary you are using, it should fundamentally be linked with the writing task that you're writing. Got it? For example, here, let me show you here. For example, like what we need to do here is to use uncommon words. Uncommon words here, for example, if you have a sentence like this, 50% of postgraduates were earning more than $100,000. Now here, were earning more than $100,000 is something simple. It's something common in vocabulary. So instead of writing this, you can write 50% of postgraduates were in high income bracket. Alright. If you want to show the figure as well, you can put it into the bracket as well. Then here, writing this thing that were in high income bracket is something uncommon. Fine. Then writing, that they were earning more than. Okay. So this is what is that, when showing a wide range of vocabulary, you need to show uncommon use of vocabulary. And uncommon use of vocabulary doesn't mean that you pick only the typical words from Google and then write it in your writing task. That's not the way. If you do so, it would rather lower your score. Got it? So uncommon means, you must select words carefully and they should fundamentally link with your writing task. Got it? Now next is here, the next point here is, after a wide range of vocabulary, is about skillfully uses uncommon lexical, items, as I told you. Next is about that there are rare errors in spellings. Now for 7th band, what else is here? Style and collocation. Next, style and collocation. You need to be aware that you should write, in a proper formal style, because your report writing is to be read by a university lecturer, for example. Then you need to, write it well. For example, I'm going to show some examples. Able to understand now? Okay. Now we are going to have here the next thing. Yeah, diction under the criterion of lexical resources. What else we have? Diction. Now this is once again, a heavy word. Now diction is like, in simple language, that's what is suitability of the word you are using. Which means, you must not use anything which is not suitable, suitable for the instance where you want to write it, where you want to put it. Got it? So here it's very important that it must be suitable there. For example, here, you can't go and write there are various age groups. Now, age groups cannot be various, though various means like more than 2, but it doesn't go with age group, because there can be different age groups, because various sometimes implies, in some sense it implies that various means like many, kind of many variables, so here should be different age group than writing various age groups. Got it? So various would not properly fit into the place with age group. Got it now? So different would be the right choice of word. Next is style. Now style should be formal for your academic report writing. Now what do I mean by? Sometimes students, mistake by using, make mistake by using, some subjective adverbs in their writing task 1. Subjective adverbs are like, which show the emotion, kind of amazingly, for example, shockingly, surprisingly. That's what is inappropriate, because you are writing a report in the formal style. There should be the, adverbs to be used here, adverbs with ly actually. They should be used like adverbs to be used here should be objective adverbs, like for example we can say significantly, considerably, abruptly. These are the correct adverbs to use in your writing task. Got it? Now next is collocations. Now collocations are, the combination of words. There are some words or group of words, they are naturally, juxtaposed, which means like they naturally come together. Fine. For example, in simple language, if not from writing task 1, first of all. For example, if I say, I am habitual of reading books. Now, the word habitual always has the preposition of with it. It doesn't have habitual to, habitual by, habitual with. So, of with habitual comes naturally. So this is what is a collocation. Similarly, in your writing task 1, we have some collocations like a vast majority of. A vast majority of. You can't say a huge majority of, because they are the collocation, they flow together. Now next is in summary. You can't write to summary, but you can write to sum up, to summarize. But with summary, it's in summary. So this is what is the collocation. So you need to know that you use collocation carefully. For example, many students in the writing task 1 write, education plays a vital role, for. Now, role comes with play, and then after role, you need to put only in, not for. If you put for, then that's the wrong collocation. Got it? So this is the collocation that you need to keep in mind. That's even important for your writing task too. Fine. Now, next is the fourth and the last criterion is grammatical range and accuracy. Now, grammatical range and accuracy is that, first of all, you show a wide range of sentence structure. A wide range of sentence structure is that you use simple to compound to complex sentences. Now, what are they? Because most of the students, find it difficult to understand what the simple sentences are, what the compound sentences are, what the complex sentences are. So, here I've written some examples, and also the way to make, complex, compound and simple sentences. You can see in the table. First of all, simple sentence. A simple sentence is what has one subject plus one predicate. Now, what's predicate? Predicate is verb and object. Fine. A sentence which has its own subject, then verb, then its own object is the simple subject. Fine. Simple sentence. Now, for example, here, as you can see, a great percentage of British people. This is the subject. A great percentage of British people. Then there comes predicate. Yeah, gave. Gave is the form of verb plus the object, money to the charity in 1990. Then in 2010. So all in all, this sentence has one subject, which is from a great percentage of British people. Alright, from a greater percentage of British people, that's the subject, from A to people. Then there is the form of verb that I'm going to underline, that's gave. Then there is the complete object. So this is the simple sentence. Then you need to use compound sentence as well. Now, what is the compound sentence? Compound sentence is that when you have two individual subjects with their individual predicates, which means one sentence with its subject and its predicate, which means verb and object, and then one sentence with its own subject, with its own predicate, and then they are connected by a coordinating coordinating conjunction like and, or, but. Isn't that? Even either or, whether or, they are also the coordinating conjunctions. So, two individual sentences with individual subjects and individual predicates are joined with the coordinating conjunction. The sentences then are called compound sentences. For example, first of all, a sentence after this comma is the single sentence. First of all, it's having its own subject, then own verb and own object. Subject starts from 42% of the 42% of the 36 to 50 age group made charitable donations. Now, made is from made onwards, charitable donations is the predicate, and the subject was 52% of the 36 to 50 age group. Now, this is the one part of the sentence which has its own subject, own predicate. Then another part, it starts from here. Don't look at and. Right now, don't look at and read the sentence here up to chart. This figure is the highest on the chart. Now, where is the predicate? Predicate is from is, the highest on the chart, right? And the subject is this figure. Now, they are connected. These individual sentences are connected with the coordinating conjunction and. Alright? So this is the compound sentence. Clear? Now the next is complex sentence. Complex sentence is, a sentence with one main clause with two or more subordinate clauses. For example, here, now what is a main clause? A main clause is a sentence. Sorry, the main clause is a sentence which can, stand on its own. Fine, which has the complete meaning on its own. That's the main clause, which we call as principal clause as well. Fine. Subordinate clause is something which cannot stand on its own. Got it? So here we have, see, look at the example. While, in this sentence, we have two subordinate clauses. They are in, light blue color. They are the, there are the two subordinate clauses, and there is one main clause that's shown in purple color. Alright, so here, while donations up to the age of 50 declined across the 2 years. While donations up to the age of 50 declined across the 2 years. Now, this is something which is subordinate clause because it cannot stand on its own. If we don't look at the next sentence. Okay, first subordinate clause. They rose among the 51 to 65 age group from 35 to nearly 40%. Now this is the main clause because it can stand on its own. It has its own subject, then own predicate. That's verb plus object. Got it? Then there comes comma, and we have again a subordinate clause which starts with which. Which was the highest percentage for 2010? That's once again the subordinate clause because it cannot stand on its own. It's not complete. So these are the two, subordinate clauses. Subordinate clauses are the one which depend on the main clause for its complete meaning, while the main clause is something which can independently complete its own meaning. Got it? So, other than showing you a wide range of sentence structure, what you need to keep correct is subject-verb agreement, then tenses, then singular, plural nouns. Next is about punctuation. So punctuation is very important. Most of the students, keep it like they don't consider punctuation. They don't take it so seriously. Sometimes they don't put full stops. Sometimes they miss commas. So, punctuation is very powerful. It can decisively change the meaning of your sentence. So please be careful for the punctuation, for your comma, for your full stop, for the dashes, for the colons, for the semicolons. Got it? And then capital letters. Capitalization is also important. When you are starting a new sentence, the first letter should be capital. Other than this, when you are writing the names of some countries, then the first letter should be capital. When you are writing the name of some month, first letter should be capital. When you are writing the name of some day, first letter should be capital. Got it? So now next is prepositions. Prepositions are of, to, up to, until. Most of the students make mistakes with these prepositions as well. Got it? So please be careful that prepositions should be correctly and wisely used. Next, comparatives. Now, what are the comparatives? Comparatives are like, the second degree, we can say here. For example, in your day-to-day life, better is the comparative and best is the superlative. And in your writing task 1, for example, fewer is the comparative, and then fewest is the superlative. Got it? Then active passage, then articles. Now articles are like, for example, when you have started introducing something in your writing task 1, in the very first place, then you would use an article an or a. But when it is repeated once again in the body paragraph, then you should put an article that's the, not a once again. Got it? Now next is, here what we have is writing task 1 in place. So writing task 1 in place is, before we look into its, sample answer, prepared, keeping in mind all the parameters and all the points under those parameters, we need to understand the task 1 first of all. So in order to understand your writing task 1, what you need to do always is to read the statement first and then understand it. For example, we have 2 charts here. One is pie chart in circular representation, and then here other is the table chart. Now, what the statement says here is the chart below shows what anthropology graduates from one university did after finishing their undergraduate degree courses. Now, let us understand this first sentence first of all. It's about the pie chart. Now, according to this statement sentence, the pie chart shows the percentage of whom anthropology graduates. Fine. So, which means this percentage is of graduates, students. Yeah? Though we won't write students here, but in order to keep it clear to you. So, the percentage of students, graduates. Got it? So, now what else? They say what is more important here is what anthropology graduates did. Which means this is all about these 52%, anthropology graduates. What they did is, now you can see the key down here below under the pie chart here, is that 52% are where they are engaged in full-time work, and then 15% are involved in part-time work, 5% are involved in part-time work plus postgraduate study, then 8% are involved in full-time postgraduate study, and then there are 12% unemployed, and then there are 8% are those who are, there are 8% of students for whom the information, about whom the information is missing, like what they did after their graduation. So now what we have is here that we have understood that pie chart reveals about the percentage of postgraduate students, postgraduate students, about their employment status. This is the employment status, that how many were working full-time, how many were working part-time, how many were unemployed, and how many were under the category of, no information known. Got it? So here is, we have understood the pie chart. Here, now we need to read the next sentence of the statement sentence. Now it says, the table shows the salaries of anthropologists in the work after 5 years. Now, what is important here? That the salaries of anthropologists, fine, which means the data here in the table is about the salaries of the anthropologists after 5 years of work experience. All right. Now, here is, like they have mentioned, there are 4 different columns mentioning different levels of income earned by the anthropologists. So, here the first 2 columns are with a salary package under 74,000 or 75,000, for example. So we can divide it in order to, in order to make it simple for you. First of all, what you need to do is, you can divide it into 2 categories. One is the low income bracket. Low income bracket is from $35,000 to 49,000. All right. And then $50,000 to 74,000. So they are in low income bracket, and other two are in high income bracket. In order to keep it simple, fine, because they are making more than $75,000. Got it? Now here is, then there are three categories or three different sectors of work. For example, freelance consultants, then government sector, then private sector. So what we can see here, in order to understand it, you can see here, as we had divided it into two categories, high income earners and low income earners. Now, high income earners, how many are high income earners? They are 40 plus 40, 80%. Fine. In which sector? That's from freelance consultants sector. Then 30 plus 50, they are once again 80%, and they are from government sector. Once again, they are high income earners. And also in private sector, 25 plus 30, 55. They are also high income earners, which means in every job sector, there are more than 50% who are earning high wages, who are earning high salaries, which means we can use the word majority. What is common here for all three sectors is that majority of the anthropologists after 5 years of experience or with 5 years of experience earn more than $75,000. Got it? Simple now? Fine? Yeah. Those who are in low income bracket, they are only few. For example, in freelance consultant department, they are only 20%. If we make a sum total of those earning 25,000 to 49,000 and those earning $50,000 to 74,000. If we make sum total of these two, then they are 20%. Got it? And same is the case with the government sector, 20%. So which means only few of them earn low wages. Otherwise, majority of them earn high wages. Got it? Now, so we have understood it, we have simplified it. So now we are going to delve into the sample answer. Now, when you are attempting your writing task 1, it begins from the introduction. That's the opening paragraph actually. So the opening paragraph must not be the copy of your statement sentence. It should not be simply that you have taken all the sentences, all the words from the rubrics and you have written it in your introduction or in your opening paragraph. If you do so, you would lose your marks. So what you need to do is that you should go for paraphrasing. Here, I've done some paraphrasing. The combination of pie and table charts. Why I've written here charts? Because we have two, pie and table. Okay, charts reveals. Now, why I've added reveals here? Because the subject starts from the singular noun, the combination. Got it? Reveals the information. Information is obviously data. So we have got data, in the pie chart and in the table. Reveals information about the employment status. Now, this is the employment status. For example, when you fill in any form, sometimes, forms ask you what is your employment status. Kind of, are you employed somewhere? Are you unemployed? Are you a full-time worker? So I've taken a word that's for my own knowledge, employment status, but it fulfills the requirement here. Yeah, fine, employment status, because even somebody unemployed can fall into this category, employment status. Got it now? So here is information about the employment status of anthropology graduates from one university right after their education, right after their education, right after their degree course, which means, okay? And there, as I mentioned, there, pi and table together. Therefore, I have connected those two sentences with and their salary status after 5 years of work experience. Now, this is a complete introduction with proper paraphrasing as well. Alright? Now, what else? Now, in the body paragraphs, students, what you make as a mistake is that, as I told you earlier, that you go for minor details. Minor details do not actually make for a high score. What you need to do is that you first of all add an overview. See, what's the overview? What you can see from this pie chart is a overview. What you can see? 52% are full-time workers, 15% are part-time workers, which means 52 plus 15. How many now? 67%, I think. Now 67% are employed. Some of them are full-time employed and others are part-time employed, which means that majority of, see, from the pie chart, it is clear that most of the graduates were employed. That's what is an overview for this pie chart. Yeah, I would look at like what's the majority, what is like common for all the features given. Yeah, now most of the graduates were employed. Fine, this is an overview. Now, out of which, now I'm going to support my overview with the main features once again, or with the sentences which can support the main feature I gave you or the overview I gave you. Most graduates were employed. Fine. Out of which a vast majority of 52%, which means in bracket, you can put data in brackets. A vast majority of was a full-time workforce. You can see a vast majority was a full-time workforce. Clear now? Those who took up part-time jobs with or without post-graduation study. Now, what I'm going to do next is to keep it simple. I'm going to collaborate these two categories here, and I would, bring the sum total of the figure. Got it? Now, those who took up part-time jobs with, they are part-time jobs with postgraduate study, they are 5%, or without postgraduate study, that's 15%. What's their total is? Now, those who took up part-time jobs with or without postgraduate studies were collectively only. Now, collectively word, or the word here, collectively here makes that I am presenting the sum total of two different features. Got it? Only 20%. Now, why I added only? Because I'm showing a contrast against 52%, which I wrote above. Got it? I wrote above a huge figure that was 52%. Now, two different categories when they were joined together, collaborated together, and the sum total was only 20%. Therefore, I'm adding that expression, only 20%. Got it? Now next is full-time postgraduate study attracted only a selected few. Once again, only a selected few because they are 8% only, and I've written it clear with the right choice of words. Fine. Unemployment occurred only. So suppose if I don't add only here, then the sentence would not be able to, refer to or support to my main idea here. What was my main overview? I can say, what was that? That most of the graduates were employed. And if I'm writing here that unemployment occurred, but only among 12%, then I'm supporting back that majority were employed. Only few were unemployed. That's what is the importance of only and but here. These two words. But only among 12% of graduates. The information, meanwhile, now this is in for which category? This category actually those 8% students who were like the data for which was actually unknown. Got it? So the information, meanwhile, of 8% of graduates was unknown. Got it now? Meanwhile, which means at the same time. Clear? Now the second chart was table. Now here is once again a sentence of overview for the whole table. What could be the sentence for the overview for the whole table? When I simplify the view, for example, by dividing it into the two categories like high income earners and low income earners, what did I say? I told you that majority of them were what? High income earners. Fine. Because we can see 80% in category of, or in case of freelance consultants, 80% from government sector and 55%, which is also more than 50, isn't that? So the data whichever is more than 50 is majority. Got it now? So here is what we have is the common sentence for all these is most of the graduates with 5 years of experience were in high income bracket. Now this is the overview. Now my following sentences would support this sentence. See, at least in two of the three given sectors. At least in two of the three given sectors. Two sectors are like kind of freelance consultants and other was government sector, because 80% of the anthropologists from these two sectors earned more than $75,000. Got it? Now, here what we have. Now I've used a conjunction here. Since 80% of the university graduates working as freelance consultants earned between. Now this is a proof. Proof for what? I told that most of the graduates with 5 years of experience were in high income brackets. Okay, now this is a proof for that. 80% of the university graduate working as freelance consultants earned between $75,000 to $100,000 and plus. Which means, or you can put here comma as well and can remove which means. You can put comma or you can add here which means only 20% were getting meager salaries. Meager. Now meager is an uncommon word, but it is suitable here. Meager, which means a little salary. Fine. A limited salary. Clear? Now these sentences which I've written here, this particular sentence is a proof to support my overview written above. Got it? Now next is in the government sector. In the government sector, that merely here is the mistake, I think, in the data. It should be written in the government sector as well. Sorry for that, because there is I need to add the text here. Let me do it. Because here where we were? Yeah, after this sentence. Here. What should be the text? Similarly, now we are comparing as well. Okay? Similarly, in government sector, government sector, 80%, 80% what they were? 80% were high income earners. High income earners. Got it? And this is what is about the government sector. Now the rest, the last sector is about the private sector. So the information here in the private sector, I need to add one more text so that I may make corrections here. Sorry for that. While typing, such mistakes occur. Okay, now, for example, I'm going to add a text here in the private sector. Yeah, in the private sector. Now you can join it from here, not that here. In private sector, what was that? Merely 55% of anthropologists, although once again the majority, got high earnings. Merely, which means earlier it was 80% in case of your freelance consultants. In case of your government sector, there were 80% each. The data was 80% each. 80% of anthropologists were high income earners, but here we have only 55, though that's the majority once again. See for example, what we have is that we have here a particular clause which says, although once again the majority. It is written in the commas because this is actually the part of the main clause. Main clause is that in the private sector, merely 55% of the anthropologists got high earnings, but that's even the majority in its own case. Got it now? Fine. So in order to show you like what are the complex and what are the simple sentences in this task as well, let me use here some as we have here. What is the simple sentence here? As we can see, most of the sentences in the first paragraph are the simple sentences. Okay. And now, in the second paragraph, the sentences here, as here is since, this sentence, it is a compound sentence because we have linked it with the word since, and you can cut which means and put comma here. And this is the compound sentence because these sentences, this sentence has two parts, and those two parts have their own subjects, individual subjects, and their own predicates. Got it? And the last sentence, which was here, like about the private sector. In the private sector, merely 55% of anthropologists got high earnings, although once again, the majority which has been put into the commas is the complex sentence. Got it? Because this particular part cannot stand on its own. Fine, that although once again the majority. Fine? Got it now? So that's the complex sentence. So we have brought the variety. There are simple sentences as well, then there is compound sentence as well, and there is complex sentence as well. Now, what about the summary? Now, summary should not be, the highest, the lowest, as I told you when I began the session. The overview is not about the highest, the lowest, please. So, the overview is like, as you have two different charts here. One is pie chart, other is the table. So, what you need to do is that you select it wisely. You can find the links or the relations. And what's the link? In the pie chart, you can see the majority of the students or majority of the anthropology graduates were employed. They were simply employed. Got it now? Fine. And similarly, majority of them were earning high wages. Why majority? 80%, 80%, 55%. Got it now? So what's the link? That they have enjoyed a decent employment status and a decent salary status. Got it? Or you can use here, not, if you don't know to use decent, then you can use high, because decent is somewhere not that much strong. You can use high. You can because you have here the word you're writing about majority of them. So you can say that here, in summary, the anthropology graduates enjoyed an overall high employment and salary status. Got it? So don't go after writing the highest, the lowest, because that's not appropriate. Overall. Got it now? So this is what is in overall, that in summary, the anthropology graduates enjoyed an overall high employment and salary status. You can put here high, then writing decent. Got it now? So this is all about your writing task 1. To make it, to make it deserving 8th band, you need to be careful for all those parameters which I have discussed in detail. Hope you have understood. And in order to learn more about such things, please subscribe the channel. And thank you so much.